Yeah, I was looking for this, and I folded it neatly. I was looking for this, and I just folded it neatly.
Thank you.
Oh wow! There we go. Twist it around.
More exciting
That's what I thought, and I thought that's what I did like that. Just be comfortable. Yeah.
Okay, just here.
Okay. Okay, no problem.
오늘 타임 시간.
Shalom, everybody. We welcome our dear friends from the Wembley Central Mosque. They've come to show solidarity. And in America, it's Muslim communities who have taken the lead in standing outside and guarding synagogues, and also in raising funds for the families of those who were shot in Pittsburgh. So look out for each other. So we're on page 129, and if you're able, please stand. Source of light, of truth, and of the impulse within us towards justice and mercy. May this hour of worship be one of vision and inspiration. Help us to find knowledge by which to live, that the words we speak enter our hearts and influence our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in search of you or in need of comfort and consolation. May the offering of their hearts be acceptable to you, and may the prayers we utter here bear fruit in acts of kindness, peace, and love. We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe. You sanctify us with your commandments and join us to study your teachings. With what shall I approach the Eternal One?
How shall I worship the God of heaven?
Shall I come before God with burnt offerings?
Or with giving alms?
Will God be pleased with thousands of rams?
Or with 10,000 rivers of oil?
Should I give my firstborn for my transgression?
The fruit of my body for the sins of my soul?
People tell you what is good, but what does the Eternal One require of you? Only to do justly and love mercy and walk humbly with your God. These are actions which bring benefit here and now, but whose full value can be measured only in the light of eternity. Honoring one's father and mother, acts of love and kindness, diligent pursuit of knowledge and wisdom, hospitality to strangers, visiting the sick, enabling bride and groom to rejoice, consoling the bereaved, praying with sincerity, and making peace where there is strife, and the study of Torah leads to them all. Eternal God, may the words of Torah taste sweet to us, to all Israel, that we and our children and all the children of your people may come to know you by studying Torah. We praise you, God, teacher of your people Israel. Baruch she'amar v'haya ha'olam baruchu, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech ha'olam, ha'megulal b'fi amo, Meshubach mefar b'shon chasidav v'avadav, Bishvachot zmirot, Legadel chavenam nichacham okenu, Yachid Chai Ha'olami, Baruch Atah Adonai, Melech Mahulal Batishvachot. Sing for joy to the Eternal One, you who are righteous. Give thanks to the Eternal One with the lyre. Sing to God a new song. For God's word holds good. The Eternal One loves righteousness and justice. By the Eternal One's word the heavens were made. At the divine command the ocean waves rise. Let all the earth revere the Eternal One, who spoke and it was. How shall I sing of day and night when it is God who formed them? How shall I sing of heaven and earth when it is God who founded them? How shall I sing of mountains and hills when it is God who planted them? How shall I sing of deserts and seas when it is God who begot them? How shall I sing of earth and her fullness when it is God who bade them be? I shall sing of the one who fashioned them all, the one who is above them all. Of God, God alone, I shall sing.
Alleluia.
kadosh b'shamayim u'va'aretz. Ki lecha na'eh Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu. Shu shvacha, halel v'zimra, brachot v'hodaot, me'ata v'ad olam. Baruch atah Adonai, habocher b'sirei zimra. Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach, le'olam va'ed.
Please be seated. We praise you, eternal one, our God, sovereign of the universe, maker of light, creator of darkness, author of peace, and creator of all things. In your mercy you give light to the earth and all who live on it. And in your goodness you renew creation continually day by day. How manifold are your works, O God. With wisdom have you made them all. The world is full of your creations. Your handiwork proclaims your praise. The radiant stars bear witness to your glory. We praise you, O God, creator of lights. Ahava Rabbah Ahavtanu Adonai Eloheinu. Chamla Gedolah V'Teirach Hamata Amenu. Avinu Malkeinu. Ba'avur Avotenu Shabbatchu V'cha. V'tlandeim Chukei Chayim. Ken Tichonenu V'tlandeim. Attend Livenu Lavinu La'askil. Lishmoa Vilmod Ilamed. Lishmor V'la'asot. Ukayem Ekol Divrei Toratecha B'hava. Ha'ereneinu b'Toratacha, v'dabek libenu b'mitzvotecha, yached levaveinu lahava u'yira et shemecha, kibanu lacharta, yachedecha b'hava, baruch atah Adonai, habocher ba'amo Yisrael b'hava. And let's stand. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha v'hayu ha'devarim ha'eleh asher anochi metzavcha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha b'derech u'v'shavtecha u'v'kunecha v'shartam la'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotachot beinenecha u'tatam al mezuzot beitecha u'v'yisharecha. Please be seated. Sound, established, and enduring are these words now and forever. True it is, eternal one, that you are sovereign God and Redeemer, as you were the God and Redeemer of our ancestors. You are our Maker, the rock of our salvation. We have known you always as our helper, our liberator. There is no God but you. Truly, you are first and you are last. We have no Redeemer but you. You redeemed us from Egypt and freed us from the house of bondage, and then with great joy, Moses, Miriam, and all Israel together sang to you this song.
Adonai,
proclaimed your name at the shore of the sea. With one accord they gave thanks and proclaimed your sovereignty. Eternal God, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor V'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chastei Avot Me'imavot, U'mevi Gula Livnei B'neihem, L'ma'an Shmo B'Yahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham V'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, L'chaim Eitim Atah Rav L'Hoshia, Mashiv HaRuach L'Molid HaGeshem, Mazriach HaShemesh U'Molid HaTal, Mechalkel Chaim B'Chesed, L'chaim Eitim B'Rachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim V'Ofech Cholim, U'Matir Asurim, U'Kayem Emunato L'Shenei Afar, Mi Chamocha Ba'al Givorot, U'mi Domeh Lach, Melech Me'imitu Chayei U'Matzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman Atah HaChayot Meitim, Baruch Atah Adonai, M'chayei HaMeitim. We sanctify your name on earth, as in the prophet's vision, the hosts of heaven sing your praise above, for so it is written.
Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzevaot, B'tocho ha'aretz Kadosh.
Kavodo Malei Olam.
Baruch Kavod Adonai, Min HaKol.
Mimkol Mecham Lokeinu Tofia, V'tim Loch Aleinu, Ki Mechakim Anachnu Lach.
Yimloch Adonai le'olam, Elohai Tzion, le'Elov Adon, Hallelujah.
L'dor V'ador Nagid Godlecha, Netzach, Netzachim Kedushatcha Nagdish, V'shivcha Elohim, V'kinu Lo Yamush Le'olam Va'ed, Baruch Atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Please be seated, everybody. You inspired our ancestors to hallow this day for your service. When upon its coming we pause to contemplate our life, we learn in you that we do not live by bread alone, but also by the spiritual nourishment we receive when we open ourselves to your influence. We thank you for the Sabbath day and for the opportunity it offers to enhance the quality of our lives. We thank you for its joy and for its peace. May our worship help us to take into our hearts its message of holiness. Consecrate all our days by devotion to what is true, beautiful, and good. ancestors, may our rest on this day be pleasing in your sight. Sanctify us by your commandments, and make us loyal to your teaching. Satisfy us with your goodness, gladden us with your salvation, and purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your gracious love, Eternal One, let the holiness of your Sabbath enter our hearts, and may all Israel who hallow your name be exalted by its peace. We praise you, God, for the holiness of the Sabbath. Eternal God, be gracious to your people Israel, and in your love accept their prayers. May our worship now and always be acceptable in your sight. We praise you, God, in humility, worship, and reverence. We give thanks that you, Eternal One, are God, as you are the God of our ancestors. You are the rock of our life, the power that shields us in every age. We thank and praise you for our lives which are in your hand, for our souls which are in your keeping, for the signs of your presence we encounter every day, and for your wondrous gifts at all times, morning, noon, and night. We praise you, O God, source of goodness, to whom thanks are due. Sim shalom, tova uvracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim, aleinu v'yol kol Yisrael amecha, barachenu avinu, kulanu ke'echad v'or panecha, ki v'or panecha natata lanu, Adonai Eloheinu, Torat chayim, v'havat chesed, Tzedakah uvracha v'rachamim v'chayim v'shalom v'tov beinecha levarech et amecha Yisrael et kol ha'amim v'chol eitu v'chol sha'a b'shlomecha Baruch atah Adonai Osei HaShalom. Turn over to page 481 for our Torah service. There is none like you, Eternal One, among the God's people worship, and there are no deeds like yours. Your sovereignty is everlasting. Your reign endures from age to age. Eternal One, you reign, you have reigned, you will reign forever. Eternal God, give strength to your people. Eternal God, bless your people with peace. Please stand.
Adonai
Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Eternal One is our God, the Eternal God is one. Let us magnify the Eternal One together. Let us exalt God's name. Please be seated. There's been much trauma in Ibrahim's household recently. There was the episode of Hagar and Ishmael being sent out of the camp by a very jealous and anxious Sarah. And God came to Hagar and Ishmael in the wilderness where Ishmael was dying of thirst. And in essence, God said, I'm not interested in who's to blame here. The boy has to live. What's most important is here and now, life must be saved. Full stop. So then we have the near sacrifice of Isaac. And with its trauma, and there are even some scholars who believe that Isaac was actually killed. Because the text actually doesn't mention his name as having going down the mountain with Abraham. And if I'm correct, I believe that Muslims believe that it was Ishmael who was actually the recipient of Abraham's, I would say in a way, a misinterpretation of his faith. He's struggling to understand what his relationship with God should be. And as we heard earlier in our service, God is not interested in sacrifices. God is interested in good deeds and life. So we could regard the Torah in a way as a record of human attempts to have a relationship, a mature spiritual and emotional relationship with the mystery that we call God. And so this is a very traumatic stage in the story of that relationship. Sometimes glorious, sometimes very troubled. And Sarah, the death of Sarah happens immediately after the near sacrifice. So the sages thought, why the juxtaposition of these two stories? Because Sarah was so traumatized by the death or near death of her son that she died. And so what we have here is Abraham mourning the loss of his wife, and we have the negotiations in full openness between Abraham and the Hittites, who were the residents of the area, to negotiate a place for him to bury Sarah. And tragically, I don't know if any of you have been to that area of the world, but Hebron today, I have to say, having been there many times, is probably one of the most depressing places on earth. How tragic, how unfortunate the legacy of Abraham, of Ibrahim, is there's so much suffering on and extremism in this one place. Massacres on both sides. And to go there, you can feel the acute tension, and personally, absolutely nauseating. I can't bear it. So, maybe, this text, with this very open, very practical negotiation, offers maybe a little bit of hope that people of different tribes can actually help each other now and again to meet each other's deepest needs. Right. So I have this on Chino here, this text. It's on page 118. I'm reading Genesis chapter 23, verses 1 through 20. I'll get one for you. A couple, 2 or 3. Here's 3 copies. Anybody else need? Page, what did I say, 118?
Yes.
Okay, the JPSA, those have all been taken, so.
32.
Sorry? 32, that's the one that's just in English. Okay.
Baruch Adonai HaMavarach.
Baruch Adonai HaMavarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMavarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'chabanu mikol ha'amin v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch Atah Adonai notei ha'torah.
And the life of Sarah was 107 and 20 years. These were the years of the life of Sarah. And Sarah died in Kiryat Arba, the name is Hebron, in the land of Canaan. And Abraham came to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. And Abraham rose up from before his dead and spoke unto the children of Het, saying, I am a stranger and a sojourner with you. Give me a possession of a burying place with you, that I may bury my dead out of my sight. And the children of Het answered Abraham, saying unto him, Hear us, my Lord, thou art a mighty prince among us. In the choice of our sepulchres bury thy dead. None of us shall withhold from thee his sepulchre, but that thou mayest bury thy dead. And Abraham rose up and bowed down to the people of the land, to the children of Het, and he spoke with them, saying, If it be your mind that I should bury my dead out of my sight, hear me, and entreat for me to Ephron the son of Zohar, that he may give me the cave of Machpelah which he hath, which is in the end of his field. For the full price, let him give it to me in the midst of you for a possession of a burying place. Now Ephron was sitting in the midst of the children of Het, and Ephron the Hittite answered Abraham in the hearing of the children of Het, even of all that went in at the gate of his city, saying, Nay, my Lord, hear me. The field give I thee, and the cave that is therein I give it to thee. In the presence of the sons of my people give I it thee. Bury thy dead. And Abraham bowed down before the people of the land, and he spoke unto Ephron in the hearing of the people of the land, saying, If thou wilt, I pray thee, hear me. I will give the price of the field. Take it of me, and I will bury my dead there. And Ephron answered Abraham, saying unto him, My Lord, hearken unto me. A piece of land worth 400 shekels of silver, what is that betwixt me and thee? Bury therefore thy dead. And Abraham hearkened unto Ephron, and Abraham weighed to Ephron the silver which he had named in the hearing of the children of Het, 400 shekels of silver, current money with the merchant. So the field Ephron, which was in Machpelah, which was before Mamre, the field and the cave which was therein, and all the trees that were in the field, that were in all the border thereof round about, were made sure unto Abraham for a possession in the presence of the children of Het, before all that went in at the gate of the city. And after this, Abraham buried Sarah his wife in the cave of the field of Machpelah before Mamre. The name is Hebron in the land of Canaan. And the field and the cave that is therein were made sure unto Abraham for possession of a burying place by the children of faith. V'yihiyu chaye Sarah mea shana ve'esrim shana ve'sheva shanim shnei chaye Sarah. Vatamot Sarah Kiryat Arba hi Hebron ve'eretz Canaan. Vayavo Abraham lispod l'Sarah v'lifkota. Vayakom Abraham me'al p'nei meto. Nidaber el b'nei chet le'mor. Ger v'toshav anochi imachem. Tenu li achuzat kever imachem. Ve'ekbara meiti milfanai. Ya'anu b'nei chet et Abraham le'mor lo. Shemayenu Adoni Nasi Elohim Ata B'tochenu V'mivchar Kivarenu Kavor et Metecha Ish Mimenu et Kibro Lo Yichle Mimecha Mikvor Metecha Vayakom Abraham Yishtachu La'am Haaretz Livnei Chet Yidaber Itam Le'mor Im yesh et nafshechem likbor et meitim elfanai Shemauni ufiguli ve'efron ven sochar vayiten li et ma'arat hamachpelah asher lo asher b'tzei sadehu v'kesef malei yitnena li b'tochachem achuzat kaver ve'efron yoshev b'toch b'nei chet V'ya'an Ephron hachiti et Abraham ba'oznei b'nei chet l'chol ba'e sha'ar iro lemor. Lo Adoni, Shemayini, hasadena tati lach, v'hama'ara asher bo l'chan netatiha la'inei b'nei ami, netatiha lach, kavor metecha. Yishtachu Abraham lifnei am ha'aretz v'yidaber El Ephron ba'oznei am haaretz lemor ach im ata lo lushamayeni natati kesef asadeh kach mimeni ve'ekbara et meti shama v'ya'an Ephron et Abraham lemor lo Adoni shemayeni eretz arba mea ma'at shekel kesef beini uvencha mahi vet meitcha Kavur. Vayishma Abraham el Ephron, vayishkol Abraham le Ephron et hakesef, asher diber ba'oznei b'nei chet, arba me'ot shekel kesef, over la socher. Vayakom sedei Ephron asher ba'machpelah, asher lifnei mamre, hasadeh v'hama'ara asher bo, v'chol ha'etz asher b'sadeh, asher b'chol gvulo, saviv. Abraham lemitnei la'enei b'nei chet b'chol ba'e sha'ar iro. L'charechen kavar Abraham et Sarah ishto el ma'arat sadeh hamachpelah al p'nei mamre hi Hebron be'eretz Canaan. Vayakom hasadeh v'hama'ara asher bo l'Abraham l'chuzat kaver b'nei b'nei
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu torat emet, v'chayei olam yatah b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, notei haTorah.
And let's stand.
Baruch Shem Torah, Le'amo Yisrael,
Please be seated.
So we praise you, Eternal One, our God, Sovereign of the universe, who inspired faithful prophets to take pleasure in the words they spoke in truth. We praise you, O God, for the gift of Torah, your servant Moses, your people Israel, and the prophets of truth and righteousness. Today's reading is from the book of Ruth, and it's only in the JPS actually, it's not in this Sonshino, which our guests have, and that's on page 1420, but it's not actually on that particular. The story of Ruth is quite remarkable. Oftentimes women generally are overlooked, and even more so when they're marginalised or from another nationality or group. And what this shows us, this wonderful story, is that you cannot overlook anyone, especially if they are from another race, another gender, and how just the simple acts of kindness and loyalty and moral courage can actually turn and make remarkable things happen. And this is what took place with Ruth. What a heroine to her family, and by bringing and being so strong as in terms of the family unit, she was able to influence a nation. And in our case, she was a grandmother, apparently, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, of King David. But she was an outsider in relation to the people. And so it was a wonderful story, and if you get an opportunity to refresh your memory of it, please do so. But again, just to reiterate, it's her loyalty, her kindness, her moral courage, and the fact that she was coming from a place where there was a lot of misfortune, and it didn't determine the success that did come in the end to the family, particularly for Naomi's memory and her husband. And she illustrates very, very clearly, in some respects as well, that she was like Abraham, because she left her people, she left her country, and she came along and joined the children of Israel. So enough of me, and more to the juicy part, which is from chapter 2. So I need my 4 eyes now. Okay, so it's from 1420. Now, Naomi had a kinsman on her husband's side, a man of substance, of the family of Elimelech, whose name was Boaz. Ruth, the Moabite, said to Naomi, I would like to go to the fields and glean among the ears of grain behind someone who may show me kindness. Yes, daughter, go, she replied, and off she went. She came and gleaned in a field behind the reapers, and as luck would have it, it was a piece of land belonging to Boaz, who was from Elimelech's family. Presently, Boaz arrived from Bethlehem. He greeted the reapers. The Lord be with you. And they responded, the Lord bless you. Boaz said to the servant who was in charge of the reapers, whose girl is that? The servant in charge of the reapers replied, she's a Moabite girl who came with Naomi from the country of Moab. She said, please let me glean and gather among the sheaves behind the reapers. And she's been on her feet ever since she came this morning. She has rested but a little in the hut. Boaz said to Ruth, listen to me, daughter. Do not glean in another field. Don't go elsewhere, but stay here close to my girls. Keep your eyes on the field they are reaping and follow them. I have ordered the men not to molest you, and when you are thirsty, go to the jars and drink some of the water that the men have drawn. She prostrated herself with her face to the ground and said to him, why are you so kind as to single me out when I am a foreigner? Boaz said in reply, I have been told of all that you did for your mother-in-law after the death of your husband, how you left your father and mother in the land of your birth and came to a people you had not known before. May the Lord reward your deeds. May you have a full recompense from the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have sought refuge. We praise you, Eternal One, God of our God, Sovereign of the universe. You have been our source of strength and righteousness throughout the ages, the faithful God, whose word is deed, whose every word is true and just, for the Torah, for the privilege of worship, for the prophets, and for this Sabbath day, which you, Eternal God, have given us for holiness and rest, for honour and beauty. For all these we offer thanks. May all the living come to praise your name forever. Baruch atah Adonai, Makadesh Hashanah.
Let's stand, everybody. And we're on page 484. Eternal God, whose dominion embraces the universe, we ask your blessing for our Sovereign Lady Queen Elizabeth and all the royal family, for those who govern our country and all who influence the quality of its national life. Make them conscious of their responsibility and teach them to exercise it in accordance with your will. May we all help to fashion in this country a society that excels in freedom, justice, tolerance, and compassion, so that it may be a force for righteousness and peace in the life of humanity. Eternal God, as you blessed our ancestors in generations past, bless now this congregation, its leaders, its members, and all who enter this synagogue to meet, to study, and to pray. Comfort the sorrowing hearts among us and heal those in anxiety or pain. This week I'm very aware that Mandy, the daughter of Harold and Phyllis Saunderson, is suffering very badly from cancer. And we hope that on Tuesday, I think, Mike Solomon has some decent news with regard to his scan. And Joy, help me here. I'm forgetting several people. Mary and George Vulcan, they're actually doing pretty well in their new flat, and they look better than a long time ago. Yeah, than a year or two ago. Jeanette Schindler, mobility issues, and Trudy Goodman, her son Barry, who is very ill. And would anyone like to mention a friend or a relation? Stan Jacobs, who's very ill with cancer. Yes. May we all find here community, friendship, renewal of purpose and hope, a deeper understanding of our heritage and a sense of your abiding presence. Bless all congregations of the house of Israel throughout the world. Let those who live under oppressive rules soon be freed, and may we all unite to witness to your truth and do your will. Eternal God, our rock and redeemer, grant blessing to the state of Israel. Created, fulfill an age-old dream, and to be a haven for the oppressed. Inspire its leaders and citizens with faithfulness to the aims of its founders, to develop the land for the benefit of all its inhabitants, and to implement the prophetic ideals of liberty, justice. May they live in harmony with one another and in peace with their neighbors, and cause to come true once more the ancient vision that out of Zion shall go forth Torah and the word of God from Jerusalem. Hallelujah, Shem Adonai, King is God, Shemo Levado. Let us praise the Eternal One, whose name alone is exalted.
Israel,
turn over to 4:8. God's teaching is perfect. God's word is unfailing. God's precepts are right. God's commandments are clear. God's doctrine is pure. God's guidance is true. Behold, a good doctrine has been given you. Do not forsake it. It is a tree of life to those who hold it fast, and all who cling to it find happiness. Its ways are ways of pleasantness, and all its paths are peace. Well, one of the things that we learn from both our Torah reading and our Haftarah reading concerning Ruth is that as sad and as tragic as the deaths were and how terrible these families felt, somehow life has to go on. And so in that spirit, I just want to say one or two words about each of the victims. And coming from this synagogue in Pittsburgh that was actually a very modest community. It wasn't famous, the people were wealthy, but they were very concerned with social action, and they were very concerned specifically with the plight of refugees coming from all faiths and all places. And I mentioned that in my letter to the community, and you've probably heard it all already. And so we start with two brothers, Cecil and David Rosenthal. They were very familiar faces at the synagogue. And I should mention that there would have been a lot more people killed if the killer had actually come during the service itself, because this was slightly before the service, and the people were there were the ones that look after others and that welcome them and greet them. And as we know, those people, the most dedicated, often tend to be the older ones. So these two brothers, Cecil and David Rosenthal, they were 59 and 54 respectively. One was gregarious, one was serious, and they were considered to be like ambassadors for the community. So when people came to the synagogue, they were the ones in the back who would jump up and greet them and make them feel welcome. And they were dear, dear friends, these two brothers. Very close. Then there was a man named Irving Younger. He was also a meter and a greeter, and he was known as a man with a big smile and a big handshake as well. And he would show people the pages in the prayer book that they needed to turn to, and so on and so forth. He was charismatic. People considered him to be charismatic, and he was 69 years old, so a little bit older than the brothers. Then there was a man named Melvin Wax, who was known as Mel, and he had three great passions: his grandson, his religion, and the baseball team, the Pittsburgh Pirates. And apparently he was always in a good mood and always full of silly jokes. He was 87, and he could take a service, and it's said of him that when he was a kid, people would say, "Oh, you'll be the one to become the rabbi." But instead, being a little more practical, he became an accountant. Then Rose Mallinger, she was 97. And I believe she's the one who was the Holocaust survivor. And despite being 97, people were absolutely sure that she would live to be beyond 100, because she was actually in really good health. And a grandmother, a great-grandmother, and she loved to cook meals for her family during the festivals. And a very affectionate, warm-hearted, and very together woman of 97. And then a couple, Bernice and Sylvan Simon. They were in their 80s, and the picture of them that I have is of Sylvan wearing an absolutely outrageous t-shirt. And they were wed in that synagogue more than 60 years ago. And they kept going and going and going, and full of humor, and very, very kind people, very generous. Jerry Rabinowitz was a GP, an activist politically, and he, in the early days of AIDS, he was the one who wouldn't shy away from being kind and generous to the early victims. And unlike a lot of other medics, he would actually console and hold their hands and be very and give people hugs. And it is well known that the people in those early days in his surgery actually lived longer than people going to other surgeries. Very effective treatment, and also treating people like human beings at all times. And he was a very respected member of the community. There was Joyce Feinberg, and she was 75. She was a researcher at the University of Pittsburgh, and she retired a few years ago, and she was regarded as very engaging, elegant, and warm. A very petite woman, and her husband passed away a couple of years ago, and he was a very prominent professor of statistics at Carnegie Mellon University. And his wife Joyce is also very fondly remembered by PhD students. Richard Gottfried, Jewish, his wife is Catholic, very, very involved in welcoming mixed faith couples to the community. And they're both dentists, and very involved with other faith communities as well. Daniel Stein, he was described as his son as being a very humble and simple person who really didn't make any demands of others. And he was 71, he was retired, living with his wife, and his family is absolutely devastated. And I mentioned David, and Cecil. And then also this week, there were 2 other victims in another massacre. And this was in Kroger, Kentucky. And this was an ultra-right-wing gunman, another one, who intended to go to a black church and massacre people there. He was there only a couple of minutes before, and he couldn't get into the building. I don't know if it was because of security or it being locked or just he just couldn't do it. And in his rage, he went to a grocery shop and murdered 2 people there. And one of the individuals was, I'm just going to check the names here, Morris Stallard, who was 69, who was in this shop buying art supplies with his grandson for his grandson's school project. And he was shot, and his grandson came running and screaming out into the parking lot to try and get help. And then there was a woman named Vicki Jones. I haven't been able to find anything about her, but she was murdered as well. 2 completely innocent people shot, murdered in this climate of hate. So I say these things not to portray these people as mere victims or numbers, but to think about them as positive people. And we hope and pray that they will be remembered for the good people that they were, and that somehow their families and friends will be able to carry on to honor their memories. Well, today we welcome 4 dear friends from the Wembley Central Masjid, and we've stood together in tough times, and I'm so grateful that you've come here to be with us. And my dear friend Sohail is actually a recognized poet in Pakistan, and he wanted to say a few words about a work in progress. Such things are very hard to write in times like this, but Sohail wants to share with us kind of where he's gotten to so far with his efforts somehow to respond to what's happened.
Thank you very much. Just a few words. I mean, we are together for quite a few years now, and all we want to say is that we are with you anytime, anywhere in the world. I wrote to Frank after the incident that how many people shall I bring and we will encircle the synagogue. But I'm in the position in Brent, we are a lot safer than probably anywhere else. It's a very safe borough as compared to this. And this is the spirit of any religion, I believe. To be kind to each other, to look after each other, to have empathy for each other. And thus we are all striving as a family, as a global family. I was writing a poem but then got distracted by a few things happened in Pakistan as well. But when I will complete my poem and Frank will edit the translation, it will be published, posted on our Facebook page and our website as well. So all I can say is that stay stronger. We are all together. We are with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your very genuine and plain words. No ifs, ands, or buts. And as I wrote to the community, we're all in the same leaky boat together, and our job is simply to help each other. That's it. I've had so many expressions from Christian friends around this country and around the world. And so one of the positive things to come out of this is the recognition that we do need each other. And that's really important. Cheers. Let's now turn over to page 520, and we move towards concluding our service. Alenu l'shabea la'adon hakol, latet gedula li'otzer breshit, asher sam chalkenu li'ached et shema, l'gorlenu l'hamlich malchuto. Who spread out the heavens and established the earth, whose glory fills the highest heavens, whose might extends throughout all space, who alone is our God, for no other exists, who in truth is our sovereign, for there is none else, as it is written, know them this day, and take it to heart, the eternal one is God in the heavens above and on the earth below, there is no other. Trusting in you, eternal God, we hope soon to behold the glory of your might, when false gods will vanish from our hearts and idolatry cease forever. Help us to perfect the world by bringing under your unchallenged rule. May relinquish evil and turn to you. May all who dwell on earth come to know that to you every knee must bend and every tongue swear loyalty. Before you let them humble themselves, and to your glorious name let them give honor. Let all submit to your sovereign rule. May that time come soon and last forever. For ultimate sovereignty is yours, and toward eternity you will reign in glory. As it is written, the eternal one shall reign forever. Like it's then it fences no more. Remember Bach and I'm thinking of all of a lot. We do not spare with our life we give life, some never. We move in the darkness of death, life. In our hearts, once we the divine presence will come. All Lord. Yidashu Meirabah, Ba'ollah Divra Pirateh, Yamin, Ufol Bagalam Karu, Amen. Yehelamai, Yitzvak, Amvi, Tadar, suggest that the best way to honor their memories is that when it comes to each of us, that we will be measured by making the world just a little bit better because of our actions and our words and our solidarity and our mutual support. Shabbat Shalom.
A couple of announcements. Firstly, welcome to our guests. Always lovely to see you here. Kiddush is the food bank Kiddush this week, which will be next door in the library. And secondly, I think perhaps more importantly, is, as many of you know, we have an ongoing collaboration with SUFRA North West London, a very fine charity doing great work in helping to feed the local people, asylum seekers. They do much more than that. So they help guide them on the right paths where they need help. And they're an all-round really good organisation. And we've been involved with them now for a couple of years through Frank's good agencies.
And also with support from the folks at the Wembley Central Mosque. We've done a bit of cooking together. And
yeah. So one of the things they do they have, as well as handing out meals and being a food bank, job finding, on a Friday night every week, the people who are living locally can go there and get a 3-course meal. And if they can't pay, they don't have to pay. The food is all cooked by volunteers, wonderful young volunteers who work together so well. I've helped a couple of times, and it's a really engaging experience, worthwhile experience. But one of the things they have there, as well as the food, is they have a clothes rack, and people who have unwanted clothing take it, they put it there, and people come and just take what they need. And in many cases, these are people who can't even afford to go to a charity shop. Literally some of them have no funds whatsoever. So our Mosaic initiative, we have, which you may have noticed downstairs, next to the food bank collection green bin, we now have a dark grey / black bin that is collecting clothes for SUFRA. So instead of taking your clothes to the charity shop, as we all tend to do, we put them into carrier bags or black bags when we have a clear out once a year or whenever, instead of taking those to the charity shop, bring them to the synagogue, put them into the box. When the box is full up, I will deliver it to SUFRA, and they can then be used to help people. So there you go.
When was the next when SUFRA?
the activity on Friday evening.
I think it's the 30th of November.
Yeah, it's the end of